What's up, fellas? In today's video, we're going to be looking back at some NBA draft prospects that I was completely wrong about. I am under no impression that I'm going to be wrong or I'm going to be right 100% of the time. And the NBA draft is something that is really difficult to get right. And these are 6 players that at the time of the draft, I was all in. I was like, these guys are going to be really, really good. And then I ended up being wrong. Or I thought they were going to be really, really bad. And I ended up being wrong. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But quickly, before we get started, if you're new here, what's up? My name is Tucker. I upload NBA stuff twice a day, every single day on this channel. So if that's something you're looking for, consistent NBA content, this is a great place to be. You can also leave a like rating on the video as well. Helps me out a ton, helps the video get out to more people on YouTube, and lets me know that you're enjoying this specific piece of content so I can make more like it. And you can check me out at various socials, and a link tree down in the description below has all of my social medias down there if you guys want to hang out with me outside of these videos. With those things said, let's talk about some NBA draft prospects. So first up is one that I was convinced was going to be a really, really good defensive player. I kind of saw where the league was going, and I was like, you know what? Mobile bigs that can defend are going to be super, super valuable in the long term in the NBA. And Willie CauleyStein was that guy coming out of Kentucky and was on a couple of really talented Kentucky teams. And I just thought, this guy can guard everybody. And, you know, everything about the league was going towards ball screen, ball screen, ball screen, and everything was pick and roll. And having a big like Willie CauleyStein that could switch onto a big, or could switch onto a guard, could play a ball screen well, you know, as, you know, defending the screener or the guy that's handling the ball. And I was like, worst case, if Willie CauleyStein is an average NBA offensive player, he's going to be so good defensively that he's going to be a great, great player. And I defended the pick at 6th overall, even though I didn't love the fit there in Sacramento with DeMarcus Cousins. And even when it didn't look great initially, I was like, just give him some time. This guy was a late bloomer at Kentucky. He'll be really good. And it never happened. And it didn't happen to the point where a few years later, I was telling everybody to stay away from Willie CauleyStein in free agency. And ultimately, that's what everybody in the NBA did. And he barely got a contract, and he's still just kind of trying to hang on now in the league. And ultimately, I mean, part of that is just a lack of offensive development. Part of that is not being a great rebounder. And part of that is just the stuff that I saw didn't translate. The defensive stuff that I saw in Willie CauleyStein never came with him to the NBA. And so that's a big miss for me. Is, you know, 6th overall pick in the draft. I thought it would be really good, and it just straight up didn't. Next up now is one that I don't really feel as bad about, because like I think everybody was kind of on this guy, and then injuries really, really derailed his career. And it's Jabari Parker. Like, Jabari Parker was incredible early in his career as a Milwaukee Buck when he was healthy, and he just got hurt so many times, and it got to a point where, you know, Giannis started to become Giannis, and the Bucks realized that, you know, yeah, I mean, it really sucks that the former number 2 overall pick keeps getting hurt, but like, we have a chance to have something really special here with Giannis. And of course, he ends up winning 2 MVPs, so that's the correct decision. And then Jabari Parker has just kind of bounced around the league ever since. I fully believe that if Jabari Parker was fully healthy, he'd still be in Milwaukee, and him and Giannis would be crushing it. And, you know, it's unfortunate that that's not the way that it worked out. But I think everybody was on the Jabari Parker hype train there initially. I mean, this was the Wiggins, Jabari Parker, and then Joel Embiid was kind of lurking draft. And, you know, if Embiid didn't get hurt, maybe he would have been the first pick in the draft. And, you know, Wiggins was whatever Wiggins was. But if Jabari Parker never got hurt, he would be an incredible, incredible player there in Milwaukee. And like I said, circumstances just didn't go that way for him. He got hurt, and then Giannis became the guy. And by the time Jabari Parker was ready to come back fully healthy, this rhythm just wasn't there, and it was clearly Giannis's team. So it just got really awkward really quickly for Jabari Parker, but he's another guy that I believed in, I thought was going to be really good, and I was completely wrong. Next up now, Nerlens Noel, another Kentucky big. And even after the injury, really unfortunate knee injury that Nerlens Noel suffered, I thought that he was going to be really good. And this one was similar to the Willie CauleyStein stuff, where I was like, such an athletic big that can defend as well as he can get into passing lanes. He's going to be a great lob threat. If he becomes an average NBA offensive player, he's going to be good. And I think what I learned from CauleyStein and Noel the most was that, you know, offense is at such, you know, offense is valued so much more in the NBA than defense is. And guys that end up being really, really good defensive players but aren't great offensively typically just become role players and 20-minute-a-game bigs because teams want to be able to score. And ultimately, that's what both Noel and Willie CauleyStein have become. They're 20-minute-a-game bigs. They're going to be guys coming off the bench, and they're going to be fine. You know, they're going to be good at what they do. But, you know, waiting on that offensive game to develop, especially for big guys, it's just not going to happen. In worst case, they should have become good lob threats, and they have become good lob threats. But that's about it. And Noel, you know, partially was because of the injury stuff. Then he was in a bad situation on a couple of different teams. And, you know, ultimately missed out on a huge contract there in Dallas, and now just kind of bounces around the league as just kind of a backup big type guy. But Those are two big lessons that I learned when I'm thinking about draft prospects, are Nerlens Noel and Willie CauleyStein. Again, Jabari Parker was more of an injury-related thing, but those two big guys, I learned a lot from those mistakes. Next up now this one was just a homer pick, and it was Dennis Smith Jr. coming out of NC State. I saw Dennis Smith multiple times in college. I'm wearing an NC State shirt right now. That's where I went to school. He was there when I was there, and I was thinking, you know, it's so exciting to have such a high, you know, recruit at NC State. Dennis Smith's going to be really good in the league. Great athlete. As long as he works on his jump shot, he's going to be fine. But I saw red flags when Dennis Smith was at NC State. I saw a little bit of selfishness. I saw a lack of vision. But all the highlight plays, the crazy dunks at the rim, all that stuff blinded me to the fact that not only was the vision not really there and the jump shot didn't really develop, but the team was never that great. And I should have known. I really should have known when he came to the league, as someone that watched every single NC State basketball game that year. I should have known that it wasn't going to translate unless he really figured out the jump shot stuff, because he is a smaller guard despite the crazy athleticism, and the jump shot never translated. He turns the ball over too much. He doesn't make an impact defensively. And at the end of the day, just being a crazy at the rim athlete doesn't make you a really good NBA player. And it, like this one, if Dennis Smith had gone to any other school and I watched the same amount of Dennis Smith in college, I wouldn't have thought he was going to be a good NBA player. But I was biased. I'll fully admit it. I was excited about Dennis Smith. I was like, man, it's going to be so cool to have a really good player from NC State doing well in the league. And it never happened. Two more now. Second to last is one that I think a lot of people kind of fell prey to this one, and it's Jimmer Fredette. I remember watching this guy at BYU, and I was like, there's just no way he's not a good NBA player, at least a good player. Maybe he's not going to be a fantastic, you know, all-star level guy because of the lack of athleticism, whatever. But when a dude's making shots from half court consistently, I'm like, how is he not going to be good? I don't understand it. Well, going to Sacramento doesn't help. The lack of athleticism doesn't help. And the crazy shooting stuff just never translated. Yeah, like it works fine in China, but like for whatever reason, whatever confidence or whatever just crazy shooting stuff he had did not translate to the league, whether it was because he couldn't get open, whether it was because the line was further back, so it wasn't as impressive when he was chucking shots from half court. I don't know. It's just another example of a guy that was a good shooter in college and it didn't translate fully to the NBA for whatever reason. And I don't feel bad about this one either. I think a lot of people were in on Jimmer Fredette, and yeah, it just didn't work out, unfortunately. And then last up now is one that I didn't have a huge opinion about this guy at the time of the draft, but then I saw him in Summer League and I fell prey to the whole getting excited about Summer League thing. And it's Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox initially in Summer League looked like he was going to be the steal of the draft. He was scoring the ball. He was getting to the free throw line a ton, looked like a really good athlete, was making mid-range jump shots. And now the three-point shots never really translated. He doesn't really have a defined role, doesn't have a great handle, isn't a great scorer, isn't a fantastic defender. He's got an NBA body, but that's about all he's got. And is another guy that like I thought was going to be good. Not necessarily at the time of the draft. I didn't have a huge opinion about him. I thought he was fine in college, but then I saw him in Summer League and I was like, how does this not translate? Like the things that he's doing right now, getting to the line, getting to the rim, making mid-range jump shots, like those things should translate, and then he can build on the rest of his game. At least he's got a good foundation. He's got the NBA ready body, and it just didn't work out. And so that's my whole list. Willie CauleyStein, Jabari Parker, Nerlens Noel, Dennis Smith Jr., Jimmer Fredette, and Kevin Knox. 3 Kentucky guys, a Duke player, 1 from NC State, and then 1 from BYU. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys have in your back pocket of like guys that you really thought were going to be good coming into the NBA, and it just didn't work out. Let me know down in the comment section below who you think of when you think of that. But with those things said, as I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos. If you did, you can check out more from me on the channel. You can like the videos. Check out the various socials at the link tree at the bottom of the screen. And yeah, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.